Mr. President, in light of National Police Week, I rise today in support of our men and women serving in law enforcement. Police Week is a good time for reflection and remembrance. It's a time to honor those who serve and protect us. While we honor our dedicated law enforcement officers this week, I want to specifically recognize those fallen officers who have given the ultimate sacrifice, their own lives, for our safety. In Arizona, we lost 3 officers this year. Officer Leander Frank of the Navajo Nation Police Department, Officer David Van Glazier of the Phoenix Police Department, and Officer Darren Reed of the Sholo Police Department. Today, we honor the memory of these fallen heroes and pledge to never forget their sacrifice. While the work we do in Congress pales in comparison to the service of these brave men and women, it's my privilege to sponsor several pieces of legislation to support our law enforcement officers. I've joined Senator Hatch to introduce the Rapid DNA Bill, a bill to give state and local law enforcement agencies a way to upload a suspect's DNA analysis to the federal offender database for immediate identification. This immediate cross-hit within the federal system will help officers at the local level process criminals faster and more accurately. I've also teamed up with Senator Feinstein to introduce the bipartisan Protecting Young Victims from Sexual Abuse Act. That legislation criminalizes the failure to report to law enforcement incidences of suspected child abuse in amateur athletics. In addition to helping prevent sexual abuse claims, this bill would aid state and local law enforcement investigating allegations of child sexual abuse by providing them with information faster. I've also supported Senator Cornyn's American Law Enforcement Heroes Act. That bill affirms a well-established practice of hiring veterans at the local level to serve as new law enforcement officers. Together, these bills will enhance law enforcement investigations and encourage better hiring practice for new law enforcement jobs. I also want to recognize these local police officers and sheriffs in Arizona, along with those on the border who are serving in the front lines of immigration enforcement. These men and women put their lives on the line every time they go out for patrol, and for them, immigration policy is not a hypothetical exercise. But despite the critical role these entities play in assisting their federal partners with immigration enforcement, current federal policy leaves them exposed to the threat of costly litigation. That's because third-party groups that oppose detention have threatened local agencies that choose to comply with valid detainer requests with lawsuits. Using punitive legal action to punish law enforcement for good faith efforts to keep people safe is wrong. That's why a group of Arizona sheriffs came to me for help. And with their guidance, we drafted a bill requiring the Department of Homeland Security to protect state and local law enforcement entities from lawsuits that uphold valid detainer requests from ICE. This solution will enable officers to fulfill their law enforcement responsibilities without second-guessing whether to keep potentially dangerous criminal aliens in custody. And it's a recognition that local law enforcement shouldn't be left to shoulder the burden of Washington's failure to secure our borders and to implement a workable enforcement policy. It's been my privilege to work on this effort with the Arizona Sheriff's Association, the Western State Sheriff's Association, the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition, and the Texas Border Sheriff's Coalition. I want to especially thank Sheriff Masher of Yavapai County, Sheriff Daniels of Cochise County, Sheriff Wilmot of Yuma County, and Sheriff Clark of Navajo County for their work on this bill. To many, Police Week is an annual opportunity to recognize the service of the many selfless men and women in local law enforcement, but it should also serve as a solemn reminder of the risks they take and the sacrifices they make day in and day out. It is for this that they have my support, my respect, and my thanks, and they have it year-round. I yield back the balance of my time.